happened in the last, that happened pretty much the first thing when you came to the game. Right? It happened a lot. So the people who, it like, most of the casual players were like, this is not my thing. But the few that played it, really liked it. So that was my takeaway from that. I got some good reviews. People said good things about it. Friends played it. So that was, I mean, for me, that was the successful part. I didn't make money, but that was my first game. I'll always be proud of it. And I made it. I made this game. We made this game when I had just had a baby. Like my wife had just had a baby. She was really small, and it was, as you can imagine, that was a really difficult time. You don't have time. So I would stay up 2, 3 o'clock in the morning, sometimes 4 o'clock in the morning, stay awake with the baby. So it was a very intense period. But I just, because what happened, I had the opportunity to make it at that time. So I said, this opportunity is not going to come again. Let me actually use these 4 months to make it hard. And it was good. So that was the first game. And then after 2012, I went back to teaching for a long time. And 2014, I started working on the next game. Now at this point, I made one game and I'm doing something else that's making a decent amount of money. Teaching or doing something else. But still, I mean, if you think that at the very core you're a creator, you're a game maker, you always miss that. And it's something that always says, this is what I do. Why am I doing this other thing? Because it didn't make me, it's this constant argument that keeps going on inside the head of a creator, right? You make your own thing, you're happy. Time goes by really fast. You enjoy the process. But you spend so much time there and it doesn't make you that money. How do you reconcile that, right? And if you go out there, if you get a job, it's not going to be the kind of work of your liking. So I said, okay, let me make another game. Let me understand the lessons that I've made and make another one. So the next game, I decided to take a much deeper dive into the game. Right? The first one was really quick, 4 months. So I said, okay, I need to understand this thing that I want to do better. So I said, let me take a complicated project. I mean, not complicated, complex. So I let myself be adventurous with mechanics, with story. I said, let me go crazy this one time and make what the hell I want, right? So I made Bird of Light. We made Bird of Light again. So the way I've always worked is that I believe that, especially in games, very small teams can make very, very high quality stuff if they are motivated, right? If people who work together well are together, the effect is not, it's not algebra, it's exponential. It's really, really good. So my thing is, I don't want to work, all my team members for these games, everyone has a revenue share. And something that I pay them upfront. So that's kind of what I do with all my games. So again, premium game. This is supposed to be on mobile, long story, but it actually ended up being on PC. It's made about $2,000 so far. So for the first time, it was really nice. That one, you're sitting at your day job and you look at your phone and there's a message, from ICICI Bank saying that you got that money from that game you made. That first ping when it comes in, right? That's really nice. It's not much, right? Maybe you can buy something small every month, but it started coming in. For the first time, I spent 2 years. Anyway, watch the trailer. So one of my things in Bird of Light is that I did not want any violence in a game. Conspicuously avoid violence. It was just a design goal I gave myself. How can I make it fun and how can I make it hard. Like I want to make a game that a hardcore gamer at one point, it would hurt, right? Like that hard, but without violence. How to solve that puzzle? So it was kind of like my my attempt at that. Put things in that would increase retention and longevity, but it was a creative enterprise of my own that took 2 years, and it's a speedrunner. If you look at its code. So it's actually what's happening now is that it's got a tail. For mobile games, I realized that if you don't spend too much time promoting a game, it's like it's going to stop, right? But for the thing with PC games is that I've realized that your players are your friends and they talk about the game, they are in forums, so there's times that it's the speedrunner actually become a part of the speedrunner forums through the players who discover it here. So now that is giving a tail to this game. The community is there and it's coming in. For the first time now, I have a little bit of money coming in from indie game. And it only happened when I really went deep into my own craft, and I allowed myself to fail financially. That's a really big luxury. And how do I do that? I do that because I have a day job. I do 9 to 7. I work in the casino gaming industry. So I make roulette, poker, casino games as a full-time job. Right? Even though it's not my primary creative sphere. But surprisingly, even in that side, there is a lot of creativity which I've discovered. So it's actually this thing in which I can experiment on the side, I can do what I want on the side, but I have my rent and my bills are paid. And this didn't happen by chance. Like it was for a long time I stayed the course till I could have this arrangement. Most companies don't allow it, right? So it took me a long time in which I could actually rearrange my life to make this work. So I can technically call myself an indie, and I have a day job. So more about that. So what is the core problem? A lot of you are young, you guys have started off in your journey, and to be honest, making games is a very particular thing. Now creativity is very difficult to monetize, right? Even, I don't know who it was, Van Gogh, he made this painting and he only after he died, it made money. So I'm not saying that happens to everyone, but something can be really good, but not appreciated at that time by by the group of people to whom it was released. So it can be hurtful. As you said, it can destroy careers. People stop, people burn out. They say, I don't have it, I spent too much time, I can't do it anymore. Let me go back into another job which is not as creative, right? Maybe a service job in the game industry. And then 4-5 years down the line, you think, yeah, actually no, this is not all I wanted. So it's near impossible to be creative to one's heart's content and also make money. It's a bit of a dilemma. And honestly, indies, at least, because everyone can make games now. The technical barrier, the knowledge barrier for actually creating a game has really gone down. So pretty much everyone and his mum can make a game. That's a fact. That's happening. You can see it in the App Store. And that's just not enough money to go around. And honest truth here, if you're not going to be an indie, if you play Gears of War, if you play a AAA title, if you play a Western or Japanese video game, you're going to play that video game and you think, man, I want to work on a project of this quality, this kind of game. And it's not there. Like, it's really not there at this point in the country. That's kind of frustrating. So either you, I mean, we don't have someone, like we don't have a Valve or a Rovio, right? And so for most people settle for a job in which they utilize maybe 30 or 40% of their creative talent. Like, you know how your mind stretches to solve a creative problem? You're only at 30% of that level, and that's frustrating for a creative person. Okay, I mean, truly, creative people are blessed and also cursed. You can get great pleasure from what you do, but if you don't get to do that, then it's really bad. So it's kind of it's a quite not. Oops, I'm turning it off rather than. Okay. So this, you guys must have actually seen this at some point. It's Maslow's pyramid of needs. So you have physiological needs, right, which are you know, breathing, food, water, etc. You have safety, security of body, employment, resources, love, belonging, friendship, family, intimacy, and esteem, right? Now, esteem and self-actualization is actually what we really want. Really, like, money is actually pretty down there. So what we're doing is we're actually trying to, we satisfy ourselves with money, but we actually need to go there. We need to actually express ourselves. Why do I make games? If I really ask myself, it's because I want to express myself as a human being. I'm 40 years old and I want to express my experiences. I do it through video games. Like, I need to. It's not something that I do, it's a need that I have to complete. So that's what we want. We want to really create, we want to make beautiful things. We experience beautiful things and we want to create them. So what's the solution? And this is something that I've, from my experience. So what you have to do is, you can't just fluff about, I want to do this and I want to do that. What are you? Who are you? What do you want to be? Do you want to be a game designer? Do you want to be a 3D game artist? Do you want to be a character artist? Do you want to just do lighting within 3D? Do you want to super specialize? Do you want to be an AI programmer? Do you? Once you have decided what you want, and that's hard. Okay, it's not easy. I'll give you that. Not easy trying to decide what you want. It takes time. It really takes time. Comes late for someone else. But once you have that, you have a moment of clarity when you know this is what I want to do. For me, it was game design. I want to design games. Once you have that moment of clarity, you have to focus on building skill for that particular thing. And this is games. Okay, we might pretend to be between rock stars. We are part of a team, right? I can design whatever I want, but I'm not going to create the art, I'm not going to do the programming, right? It's my team that's going to do it. So, a strong team and a good network of friends and colleagues is the first thing that you have to build on. Everyone you meet is a potential collaborator, colleague, friend, so that's really important. And that's very unique to the game industry. We network very differently from other people. Like, we can have a level of trust among us that people from other creative industries do not have. It's something that I've observed. You have to build a reputation. I'll go over on these in some depth. You have to work on the creative ego. You have to understand the creative process. You have to understand your own weaknesses. Like, you have to know where you are not good enough yet, right? Learn to analyze, risk analyze, and scope a project. Super important. Okay, and have a creative pressure balance. So, how many minutes do you have left? Time? Okay. So first, build skill. So like I said, you understand who you want to become, and understanding who you want to become is not something that you should take lightly. It may take time for some people. It took a lot of time for me. I used to be in the merchant navy, remember? So create something or find work that gives you necessary skills, right? Doesn't matter if it's a small role. If you want to learn how to design, get a job, get an internship, help out your friends with design. Just do it. You want to be a designer? Design something. Simple as that. Okay? Have patience. These days, the thing is, you want to do one game and then be a rockstar game designer or a rockstar programmer or whatever. That doesn't happen. It's never happened. It might look like it's happening on social media, but that's an illusion. No, it will take time and patience to acquire that skill. You have to be aware of that. Okay, do something small. If you have to choose between collaborating with your one friend on a small project, that could be, you think it'll be like that 10 days it'll be done, or another guy who's planning to make an MMO which will make you famous in a year. Choose a small, tiny little job and do it well. Okay, do something small well rather than something big badly. Okay, and see, this is a very important part. The game has to survive contact with the first player, right? It's very natural for us to give the game to someone first time and say, and what you're looking for is feedback. What you're expecting is praise. Array, such a nice game, no? So nice. That's not what I want to hear. I want to see that. Like, if I can see if they like my game. What they say, I want them to say, this doesn't work. This could be better. I wish this was like this. That's what you have to listen to, right? That a fresh set of eyes on your game is the most valuable thing that you will get, right? And you're going to be part of the game industry. Work on your profile. You have to be able to present yourself to other people. So you have to learn how to write about yourself, update your profile. So that's also a part of kind of building skill. And anyway, coming back to it, at some point, it was an experiment for me. I said, I don't know if it's going to work. The idea is if you want money, at some point, if you keep building your skill and you get good enough, the money will find you. Right? At some point, it will. Either you can go looking for it or it will find you. So it found me, and I was happy with that. Right? I had to be patient. I didn't know it was going to happen, but it did. The next thing is creative ego, right? It's a very difficult thing when 2 or 3 creative people get together in a team, in an indie company or whatever outfit, and there's all this my idea, your idea, that is really destructive most of the time, at least the first time around, right? There's all this creative tug, push and pull. We had a similar problem. We were in Vancouver Film School, and there were 7 of us from different countries, and we were all at odds. We had different ideas. Someone wanted to make a game about sun rays, someone wanted to make a game about digging, and we couldn't get our shit together. It was almost a month of discussion, and we couldn't come up with something. So my game design mentor, he just said, he pulled us inside one room. Last day, we had to submit for green light. He pulled us inside this room, and on a board, he just scrawled headings, weapon, mechanics, okay? And he would just say, okay, weapon, you. And spontaneously, you would have to say something, the first weapon that came into your head. And like this, getting these blue sky ideas from everyone, we actually, in 1 hour, we actually got our game together. And at the end of it, we were just like, how did we do that? How did we just in 1 hour make a game that we couldn't make in 1 month of fighting? And it was it was communication and sharing. Okay, and that's it. That's kind of like, it's a game. It has a vampire, walrus, pirate octopus. It's a really crazy game. And we actually made it, and it exists right now. Okay, so about a team. For an indie, or if you want to go independent, make games on your own, unless you're a Jedi, which some people are, you're going to need a team. You're going to need someone to help you, someone to, you know, do what you can't do. So find people who work well with you. That's a very valuable thing, right? Even if you may not personally like them, that's different. Even if you don't personally like them, if you work well with them, that's quite valuable, right? You can work with that. You can definitely work with that, you know. And if you're going to build a team, you have to give something first, right? You have to do something first. You have to get documentation. You have to register it, something. Like you have to be the first one to make something, and then your team can be built around that. You have to build trust. The passion, the ownership of the game has to be shared, right? It can't be just one guy in the team. That's, say, suppose sometimes, say about 70 to 80% down the line, I promise you that you will be ready to give up. It's really difficult. You know, they say about for a game, the last 10% is another 90%, and it really is. So that is the part where teams fall apart. You get, you know, when you're tired, you have no money, you're broke. It's just, is this going to work? Is it worth it? What am I doing for life? At that point, someone has to be the guy who says, no, we have to do this. Like someone has to step up at that point. That's really important, right? Oops, I turned it off again. Right? So say suppose there's someone you want to work with, and they're like, hey man, you want to work with me? He says, no, maybe not at this point. You'll be offended, right? But don't. Sometimes that same person will work with you 3, 4, 5 years later. So don't get that fear of rejection out. It's okay. And it's really important when you're starting up with a project with other people. People are going to work. People are going to spend time on this game, whether it's not money. Put it down on paper. It doesn't have to be a legal document from law. Just put it down on paper who's going to do what. Like make that MOU and at least email it to everybody. Right? At least email it to everybody. So if there's some kind of structure to your team, to your project, what are you doing? How much time are you going to take to do it? Who's going to do what? Like write that stuff down and just email it out. Also, like at some point now, if you want to do what I did, if you want to stay indie and you have to go out, you have to kind of build your profile and build your reputation with the industry, right? You have to finish projects. That's really important. Starting cool things, everyone does. But you have to finish projects. You have to show something out there. You have to put something out there. Don't be that guy just starts a lot of stuff but never finishes off. Another very important thing, you have to learn to love game a bit. Do you like, at one point I got a job in Vancouver as a intern game tester at Piranha Games, and I used to hate playing racing games. I never liked playing car racing games, and I got an internship and I had to test racing games. I had to test a NASCAR game on the first day, and I used to hate that. And everyone they could see this guy doesn't know how to play games. But in 1 week, I was enjoying those games. In 1 week, like I got it. Like I was having fun. I was a player. And that's a skill that I've taught myself many times. I'm somewhere, I'm working on a game that I do not like. I'm like, okay, I have to like this game. Let me find the fun. And I've always found that fun. So it's something that you have to develop. And teach your skill to others, please. If you learn something, you discover a shortcut, a hack, something nice, teach it to someone else. Really, that's really important. It doesn't matter if it comes back to you or not, build your community. It's really important. And another thing, creative people, in a non-creative environment, you have a reputation as being a little bit crazy. So you can get away with stuff that other people can't. But just keep that between us, okay? Okay. So yeah, and also the iterative process. That's really very, very, very important to understand that. Some people get lucky. Some people have their hit games earlier on in their careers. It's fine. That's just a very small percentage. Most of us have to really slog and slog and slog to learn. And it's a process. Like you do it, you'll get there. People have gotten there before you. So it's part of the process. You do it, you'll get there. Remember that fresh set of eyes, I said before, is your most valuable asset. someone playing your game for the first time, be honest, learn how to use feedback. Use feedback efficiently, make spreadsheets, Excel is your best friend, and of course, if it's not a fun project, if the players don't like it, you have to learn to kill it sometimes. And that's something that as an indie, you're not going to waste time, you're not going to waste money on a project that's not fun just because you're holding on it for a ego because sometimes you have to just say finished, gone, done. It's not fun, I'm not making this. I've done it, you will need to do it sometime, right? So, and also, okay, so there will be blind spots, right? Everybody can't know anything. I can't code. I know I can't code. That's something that I've always wanted to know, but I don't. So you have to understand that. So the person you meet will have to kind of complement that skill. So if you're going indie, if you're going by yourself, find someone who can do something that you can't do well, but you get along with. That's the key. That's who you're looking for. This is where teammates come in, right? But at some point, I guess the things that are blind spots, we do have to tackle them. So that's just my thing. Okay, last point, scoping. If you're an indie, you need to learn how to scope your project. And you know, I don't know if you understand, in the North there's a term called auqat, like what am I capable of? Meri kya auqat hai? What can I make? So it's this dance between, you have this ambition to be great, but you are not great. You have to do with what you are right now. So this scoping process when you start a project is really important. It takes a lot of time. Be very honest with who you're working with, how much time you have, what resources you have, and scope properly. Don't overscope. That kills most projects. And now at this point now, I'm over my thing, like I'm okay with making money from a game, from putting in things, mechanics that are there specifically for money. I don't want to save the world. I do want to, but I also want to make money. So I think I managed to find a balance somewhere there. Oh, turned off again. And of course, we need to decide what length you're willing to go to. I've kind of given myself a personal goal that I don't want to use gratuitous violence in any game. It's something that I told myself. So those are my lengths. You have to decide what you do or what you won't do, because you have to sleep at night. And my thing is that you don't really make the games like the games that I make have made me more than I have made them. And all right. Anyway, that's pretty much it. I'm working on the game. It's a little mobile game, and I'm really happy with it. That's my daughter. She was the first play tester. She played it. She's 4 years, 7 months. It took me 15 seconds to explain it to her, and she played it for the first time for 15 minutes, and till now she's played it for 40 minutes. So I'm very happy with my new game. So that's the next game up for a flight. And I guess that's it. I think it's time. Do you have any questions?
Yeah, anybody has questions? This is the time. We have time for maybe like 3 questions.
I made it for 11 years and above, and she's 4 and she played it. So I'm like, you're not supposed to like this game, but you still like it. So I have to discover now. I have to discover my player base. It's still early days. So I have to kind of really find out who's going to play my game.
So this was your game or it was a team build?
It's always a team game. Like I work with a programmer who's an ex-student of mine, and he does the programming. Another student of mine who does the art, and I kind of put it together. So it's always collaborative effort.
Are you still proud of your first game that you built?
Yes, I actually am. I look at it sometimes, I see the defects, but yes, the answer to that would be yes.
So you made the game, right? So you obviously have like, how does it connect? Literally, like how tough it is to invest and all, because you're alone here, right?
See, you have to decide how much money you have to invest, right? And then once you invest that, it's kind of like, there's a Hindi term, neki karke, just do it and just put it out there, just put the money, invest it, and at some point you have to say, if the money will come, it will come. You have to learn that, right? You have to learn to let go of that money you put into the game with the best effort you can. It's just something that, it hurts, right? If you're one of the lucky few and your first game is a hit, congratulations, right? But if you're not, like most of us, that hurts. I'm not saying that, but you get over it. Like you break your leg, you put it in plaster, it's over. So it's alright, like an injection.
Did this happen to you, like during the production time, suddenly there's a point where you're out of money?
Out of money?
Example.
It was never like that. I was always, my monthly expenses, I was putting a little bit out from it. So it was not, I'm managing it kind of on the side.
What should a person do if it happens?
Well,
If you run out of money,
Yeah, at
find
that
a way
point.
to make some.
Yeah, you have to make more money and put it into it. Simple as that.
There was someone at the back. Yeah, we'll go with you after that. Quickly.
It's very crowded, obviously, and not just very crowded. Like it's very crowded with really high quality games. There's a lot of trash, but there are also a lot of high quality games out there. You know, so the thing is, your research before you start your game is really important here. Right? Like you have to spend a long time figuring out who you're going to make the game for and then start making the game. I think that earlier on is absolutely crucial.
Yeah.
Makes players very interesting, like in terms of the animation, visually. So
It depends. Yeah. See, there are several different categories. If you're talking about casual gamers, generally they want, comparatively, compared to hard, they want fluff. They want to pass their time. They don't want to think too much about things. Pass time. But for people who play games, core gamers, they are doing that nothing. That is their pleasure. They focus a lot. So you have to decide if you're making a light game, nice animations, nice sounds. You know, that's animation, sound, the way it feels is really important. Really important. The way it feels, the way it sounds, the way it touches.